Hello, and welcome to another lesson. Today's lesson is going to be over demand. So what is demand? Demand's definition is a combination of quantities that someone would be willing to and able to buy over a range of possible prices at any given moment. So what we have here on this screen is a demand schedule and a demand curve. So both of these tell you how much of something people are willing to pay depending on the price. All right. So on the schedule, you'll see for $10, this person's willing to buy 0. So we'll say they're buying hot dogs. Makes sense. I wouldn't pay $10 for a hot dog. Or 9, and this person also agrees. For $6, they're willing to buy 1. I might be willing to buy 1. For $4, that goes up to 2. Yeah. $3, 3. For $2, they're willing to buy 4. And that's what this demand curve shows. That as the price goes down, demand goes up because the quantity increases consistently. And that is the law of demand. As the quantity goes down, as price goes down, demand goes up. And as the price goes up, demand goes down. So it has an inverse or opposite relationship, all right, between price and quantity. All right? Next, we're going to look at what's called a market demand curve. So over here, you have two more individual demand curves. And what the market demand curve shows is these two demand curves combined into one to represent the market for hot dogs. So you'll see it's just simply a combination. So at $9, no one's willing to buy any hot dogs, so it's at 0. The first place that anyone's willing to buy a hot dog is at $6. And it's actually Mike. Julie's still unwilling to buy a hot dog for $6, so there's only one in the market at $6. At 3, they're willing to buy 3 hot dogs for $4. They're willing to buy 5 hot dogs at $3 and 7 hot dogs at $2. But the problem for most entrepreneurs and businesses is that all these products cost money to produce. So you have to watch out and make sure that you're not lowering your price too much, because let's say a hot dog costs $3 to make. If you sell a hot dog for $2, it doesn't matter how many hot dogs you sell, you're always taking a loss on your profit. So you're always losing $1 between here and there because you're selling it for $2. It costs you $3. Eventually, if you keep this up, you're going to go out of business. So you have to keep that in mind with the market demand curves. All right. Now, what are some things that affect quantity demanded? So that's what this graph is. It's a quantity demanded graph. And you can see that there's really two options: a decrease in quantity demanded or increase in quantity demanded. What affects those? Well, there are about 5 different things that affect quantity demanded. One is an income effect. So an income effect is your income goes up or down. So this is your own personal income. So if you made $20,000 a year, your demand for a expensive car is not going to be very high because you can't afford an expensive car. But if your income goes up to $100,000, all of a sudden you can afford this $40,000 car, right? So your demand for an expensive car might go up because your income went up. And then once again, if you started out at $100,000 and you bought all these fancy cars all the time, but then your income went down to $60,000, your demand for those expensive cars would go down because your income changed. You can no longer afford them. No more cars. Substitution effect is the second thing. So substitution effect is this common substitute prices go up or down. So up here we have a hot dog and a hamburger. So these are two common meals you'd find at like a sporting arena, like a ballpark or hockey rink. Now, if hot dogs prices go up, you'll probably find that people will buy more hamburgers, right? They'll buy lots of more hamburgers. If hamburgers price goes up and hot dogs remains the same, you're going to see more hot dogs purchased. That's the substitution effect. When one substitute prices go up, people switch and start buying the other substitute item, and vice versa. The next thing is consumer taste. So essentially what consumer taste is something cooler, is something more trendier. Like I know in high school, I would buy Abercrombie and Fitch clothing because that was the cool thing. Its price was greater than other normal, just non-branded clothing, but I was willing. The demand was there for Abercrombie and Fitch clothing because it was cool, and I thought it was cool as well. So demand was there. Compliments. So a decrease in demand at a ballpark for hot dogs could lead to a decrease in demand for like mustard or ketchup. So let's say, because mustard and ketchup is put on hot dogs by lots of people. So if people buy less hot dogs, they're going to use less ketchup and mustard. Therefore, demand for that will go down, and its price would also probably go down. Whereas if there's an increase in demand for hot dogs, you probably would also see an increase in demand for its complements like mustard and ketchup. So their prices would probably also go up. Finally, there's expectations. So what are expectations? Well, when this whole pandemic started back in March, people were going to go into lockdown, right? We weren't going to be allowed to go outside our homes for a long time, or at least that's kind of what everyone assumed. And so what you saw was everyone rushed to the supermarket and bought everything they could get their hands on. So people were buying like 100 rolls of toilet paper. And I'm not even kidding on this. You know, I know. Toilet paper, paper towels were gone for months, right? They were buying all the meat. They were buying lots of everything, right? So due to expectations that we're going to be trapped inside and that things were going bad, people started stocking up and spending lots of food and increased demand in just about everything. And all this comes down to basically is when you look over here on the right side of the screen, you'll see a few different definitions. And we're going to focus on elasticity. So a measure of responsiveness that tells us how a dependent variable such as quantity demanded over quantity supplied responds to a change in an independent variable such as price. So basically what that is saying is a hamburger. You're willing to buy it at $5, right? However, if you increase the price to $12, you're going to sell no hamburgers, which means it is a elastic product. So hot dogs and hamburgers are an elastic product. If the price increases, that affects how many you're going to buy, or how little you're going to buy, I should say. Because the price of a hamburger goes up to $25, I'm not buying any hamburgers. So a hamburger and hot dog are examples of elastic products. An inelastic product is a case of demand elasticity where a percentage of change in the independent variable price causes a less than proportionate change in dependent variable, usually demand for that. So an example of inelastic products would be medication. So if you have a heart disease, it doesn't matter if that price for that medicine goes up, 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 up. You have to buy it. So your demand is going to remain the same. If you need 28 pills a month, if the product goes up to $200, you still need those 28 pills a month to survive, right? So that's an example of an inelastic product. All right. And that's pretty much our lesson today about demand. If you have any questions, please